everybody, and welcome back to the United Stand. It is the day. It's the day that not only Manchester United can make it 4 wins in a row, first time of this season, but it's also Derby Day at home at Old Trafford. And I have a feeling this game could go one of two ways. It could be Manchester United scraping by and getting a win. That is a possibility, everyone. You know, thoughts and prayers, I've been manifesting it all week. Or if Man United have played anything like they have the last 3 games, which is strange because we've actually won our last 3 games, but we've not played very well. I have a feeling we could get absolutely battered here today, which I don't want to see. I want to see Manchester United put in a good performance. I want to see us get a result. And I think it's definitely possible that we can get that result, but we've got to play in the right way, and we cannot play the way that we've been playing the last couple of games. Erik ten Hag's been trying different things. He's been trying to stick with the same system, a system that's changed from last year. I don't think you can do that today. I expect Manchester United to play counter-attack football. I expect us to sit back. I expect us to be organised. I expect us to give everything. And if we do that, if we defend well and we stay organised and we get people behind the ball, sounding like Ricky here, Manchester United can get a result today, but we've got to do the right things. And by the way, everyone, if Manchester United managed to get a result today, if we managed to get a win, I mean, I would snap your hand off at a draw right now. And I feel bad saying that because I should always want to go to Old Trafford in a derby and win the game. And of course I do want to win it. I was speaking to Hojlund after the game against Copenhagen. He was saying he's really looking forward to his first Manchester derby and he wants to get them 4 wins in a row. But he acknowledged the fact that Manchester City are a top team with top players, and Manchester United have just not been at the races so far this season. But if I could get a draw, I'd snap your hand off. But if we somehow manage to get a win, which we can do, last season I expected us to come here and struggle, and we managed to get a 2-1 win. There was some controversial VAR decisions, but it's about time one went our way. Manchester United would actually only be 3 points behind Manchester City in the Premier League table. Then you look at our start to the season, you look at how poorly Man United have played, and then you look at the league, and you look at the fact we've just got our season off and running the Champions League, and you think this is a really good opportunity for Man United to kick on for the rest of the season and push forward and put the poor start to the season behind us and kick on. But it's all if, buts and maybes. If Man United do lose the game, which is probably what a lot of people are expecting, then City are 9 points ahead of us, and you're looking at the league thinking, I mean, we've just got to get points on the board. We've got to try and scramble to get that 5th spot for Champions League. But there's loads to play for today. It's a huge game. It's a derby. I've been speaking to some City fans that I know, and there are actually some about, everyone, crazy or not. They have started winning things now, so that's why more have creeped out the woodwork. But I've been speaking to a few City fans, and they said, you know, even though you have played poorly, and we're thinking we should put you away on Sunday, it's a derby and anything can happen, and you saw that last season. So let's be positive, everyone. Let's cross our fingers and hope we can get a result. But I wanted to bring in some past results and stuff that can kind of get us a little bit motivated. So, the last 5 away games for Manchester City, they have lost 3 and won 2. They lost against Newcastle, Wolves and Arsenal all the way from home. And they won against Leipzig and Young Boys, so teams that you would be expecting City to beat. The only problem with this is that Newcastle, Wolves and Arsenal were all 3 games that they did not have Rodri playing for them. And Rodri is obviously back now and will be playing at Old Trafford. Rodri is, for me, Man City's most important player, and he's massive in containing Manchester City, and Martial did a really good job on it, and in the derby last year when we ended up winning 2-1 in the first half. We saw in the second half when Martial had to come off due to injury that they had a lot more joy and they ended up scoring the goal, but thankfully we came back and won that game. But cutting off Rodri's supply and marking Rodri out the game is absolutely huge, and I really hope Erik ten Hag recognises that and does the same thing again on Sunday. And I think Erik ten Hag will definitely know that, especially from them results. The last home games for Man United, such a good home record under Erik ten Hag, but lately it has started to drop off. So last 5 home games, Manchester United 3 wins and 2 losses. The losses being against Galatasaray and Crystal Palace. That's not what you want to see. The home crowd will be massively up for this at the weekend. There's absolutely no excuses. And the last 5 home games actually against Manchester City, 2 wins, 1 draw and 2 losses. So you're looking at that and you're thinking it is even Steven at the minute between Man United and Man City at home. That shouldn't be the case. Man United should have the home advantage over City, and hopefully it'll go leaning more towards our balance after Sunday and we can set things straight. So, talking points, getting points off City, I've seen some people be dramatic about it. Yes, we've started poorly this season, but it's definitely doable. I mean, if Wolves can get points off City, so can Manchester United. And some will say, well, Wolves outplayed us in the first game of the season, but Man United should be able to put a game to Manchester City, and they're definitely gettable. And of course, the odds are more in Man City's favour, but they are there to be approached, and there are ways that we can exploit Manchester City. So as I said, cutting off Rodri is an absolute must. The next things I wanted to talk about is the cutbacks. Manchester United have had problems with this all season, losing runners and the cutbacks on the edge of the box. We've seen Alvarez's role for Manchester City so far this season. He's got a much more increased load in the midfield. Like, his workload is higher and he's playing more games. So you look at Alvarez there in the midfield on the edge of the box. I've seen him from that position all season. If we let runners go, I think Alvarez will be there to sweep up on the edge of the box, and he's got such a good finish on him. We can't let that happen. So tracking our runners is an absolute must, and this is why I think we need a packed midfield there with players that are going to have the energy to get back. Like I said, Eriksen, any other opposition this weekend, and I'd be saying Eriksen has to be playing. But against Man City, I would still be keeping Eriksen in that role where he comes off the bench at half-time, maybe the 60th minute, see it out to half-time at 0-0, get bodies in the box, get bodies behind the ball, get people in there that have got legs and that can run, and then use Eriksen in the second half to try and unlock City and maybe get a goal from us. But any other opposition with Eriksen's impact, I would be saying play him. But we need players in there that have that energy and going to run. And honestly, Mason Mount has to be playing in this game. I say it every time people say, Beth, how much is Mason Mount paying you? I'm just saying that you don't pay for a player like Mason Mount 60 million and give him number 7 if he's not going to play games like this. We bought him for energy. This game requires energy. It requires work rate. I would actually play him out on the right-hand side in this game. I really would. And that's the way I'd be approaching it. I think his crosses from the right, we need to feed Hojlund. He's struggled of having no service so far this season. You know, you've got Rashford and Anthony that are always looking to cut inside and shoot. To be fair, Rashford has been a lot better at trying to get passes into the box, but it's just not really working out. Rashford's going to play. Rashford's going to play for the counter-attack, and he should play. I would start him purely just for the counter-attack. That's his bread and butter. But on the right-hand side, the crossing into the box for Hojlund, I think Mount could do a really good job, whereas Anthony's usually looking to cut in and shoot, which I think 1 in 15 chance of going in, not even that. So I think you've got to stick with somebody that's going to be getting crosses into the box and going to be feeding the striker is in Hojlund. And of course, the Hojlund versus Haaland debate is thriving. People are saying, you know, both Scandinavian strikers, both got blonde hair, both have a name that sounds very similar. The fact of the matter is, Hojlund is got so much potential, 20 years old, and he's adapting to the Premier League and adapting to Manchester United. I think he's going to be a top player. But the fact of the matter is Haaland's already had all of that experience at Dortmund. He's already won a treble at Manchester City and broke the goal scoring record last year. The comparisons they just shouldn't be happening. They're always going to happen, and it shows how big Manchester United are, but they shouldn't be happening. But Hojlund, what a day it could be for him to get his first Premier League goal. Obviously he's been scoring in the Champions League, but first Premier League goal in the Manchester derby, it would be absolutely electric, and again could kick off his season in the Premier League. He spoke to us and he said, you know, he's got to get involved, his link-up play, his strength, and he's been showing that in abundance across the start of the season, but he's got to start scoring goals in the Premier League, and this would be a great game to do it. And to be honest, we can maintain Haaland, we can contain Haaland. It won't be easy, and even though Maguire's been good the last couple of games, he will start tonight. I think he will, purely because he deserves to, and I would start him too. But I said a few weeks ago when Maguire came out and was talking about his win record at Manchester United in the international break before he had this little spell, I said, well, let's see what you've got against Manchester City in the derby, and I really hope he has a good performance tonight, because he's going to play, he deserves to play, and he will get so much praise if he manages to maintain Haaland, which is a huge threat. He's not been as good this year, purely because Kevin De Bruyne is such a massive miss, even though City have been doing okay without, well, they've been doing well without him. You wouldn't even notice really he's gone most of the time, but for Haaland it's a big miss, because Haaland relies on being fed and them crosses and them balls into the box. If you cut off the supply to Haaland, there is a big chance that Haaland won't do much this game, but you've got to cut off the supply, and that starts with Rodri. So Varane, always look a lot sharper with Varane in the team, and Varane, luckily, Erik ten Hag's been saving him. He's been looking good. I thought he played really well against Copenhagen. The actual partnership of Varane and Maguire has been looking strong, so I'm hoping that them two together can manage to stop Haaland, but it's a huge task. And I think on the counter-attack, with Hojlund's speed, with Rashford's speed, with Hojlund's strength and the way you've been seeing him able to hold it up and pass it off, and the balls that Bruno can put in. You saw against Copenhagen, Garnacho should have finished that chance when Bruno put it on the plate. It was classic counter-attack football by Manchester United. That is where we can hurt Manchester City. Manchester City are going to come here and play their football, which means on the counter-attack we can definitely cause some problems. And you look at Doku against Dalot scares me, also against Reguilon scares me, not because they're not good players. I think both of them are good players. I think Dalot's actually been really consistent and his form's been picking up. I really do like him, but Doku's just had such an electric start in the Premier League. And Onana, a lot is resting on Onana. He's gonna have saves to make. There's no doubt about it. There's no way City are not going to have him shot after shot after shot. It's going to happen. Onana's had a good few games, well, a good couple of games, Sheffield United and Copenhagen. Good games from Onana. That penalty save was absolutely massive. In the Champions League final against City, that is where a lot of people saw Onana shine. I knew how good he was before that, but a lot of people picked up on Onana and said how good he was, how commanding he was fearless. I want to see that Onana on Sunday, and if we have that Onana, it's resting on him. If we had the Onana from the start of the season, I'm worried. If we have Onana from Copenhagen and the Onana that we know from the Champions League final, I think we've got a very, very good chance. But lastly, getting on to my score predictions. I've been doing this thing where I've been bringing Faz and Ricky into my road trips. Predictions from the Copenhagen game. I went with a 2-0 win, Ricky went with a 2-0 win, and Faz went with a 2-1 win. It was actually a 1-0 win for Manchester United, but me and Ricky get bonus points because we got the scoreline right for the other team in the fact that they scored no goals. So thank you, Onana, for that, and thank you for keeping us in the Champions League. So me and Ricky are ahead there on the points, but only through 1 point. Sorry, 2 points. We've got the win and we've got the scoreline of the other team, but nobody guessed that Harry Maguire was going to score. So I think that's why Faz has chosen to switch it up a little bit. So Ricky has gone with a 2-0 to Manchester City, which, Ricky, have a word with yourself. Get behind the team. He's gone with Foden and Haaland to score, so let's hope Ricky's wrong. He's right a lot of the time, but let's hope he's wrong. Faz has gone with a 2-1. Rashford and Varane as the scorers. Very wild from Faz, but if he pulls it off, fair enough. And I, even though everything in my head is telling me a draw or potentially a loss, I am going with a 2-1 Manchester United win. I'm going goals from Hojlund and goals from Bruno Fernandes, captain's goal. He scored last year in the derby. Let's have it again. Scrape through. Let's have City fans talking about VAR decisions, talking about how we didn't deserve to win the game, but we still won it anyway. That is what I want to see. I want to see a performance. I want to see a team together, and we can kick on for the rest of the season. Come on, United. Let's win here today at Old Trafford, and let's kick on for the rest of the season. Hit the like down below, everyone. Put your predictions in the comments as well, and let's get behind the team. Let's go.